Hey there. My name is Steven, and this video is about my journey working through something called alopecia. So for those of you who don't know what it is, and I imagine if you found this video, you do, but you'll notice that no hair. No hair, no eyebrows, no eyelashes, nose hairs, nothing. And that's because I've been working through alopecia for the last 2 years. Before we go any further, real quick, just want to make sure that you know before you listen on that don't have any miracle cures, don't have any scientific research. I mean, the jury's still out on terms of what causes this this condition, but this is just more of my story that I wanted to share. Today is September 30th, and it's the last day of Alopecia Awareness Month. Not exactly sure why I waited so long to shoot this video, but I figured what better time than the very last day of the month. This video is more dedicated to anyone who has alopecia or has had it or is dealing with hair falling out, or maybe even has a family member going through it. And I wanted to at least share my story of what I went through, because it can be pretty devastating. So anyway, this is a little bit about me. So I grew up in New Jersey, and about 2 years ago, before that, I had a full head of hair. I mean, I'm mostly Italian, so thick, dark hair, dark eyebrows, any hair on my body. I mean, it was literally everywhere. I had hair on my arms, my back, my legs, everything. And then I would say just about over 2 years ago, I noticed that there was a small quarter-size patch in the back of my head, and where hair just wasn't growing. It felt super smooth, and I was hoping that it would stop there, but it didn't. So it took about 4 months to completely fall out, and the process was pretty challenging. I would take showers and I would run my hand through my hair, and I would come up with a clump of about 10 to 20 hairs. And research would say online that everyone loses about 100 hairs a day, but this was unusual. I noticed was definitely a dramatic amount of hair, not usual. Well, the interesting part about this whole thing is that I have a twin brother. We're fraternal, but we're twins. And so he had this condition back when we were much younger. Same thing, that quarter-sized patch in the back of his head. And his grew back in. I guess you can call me an extremist, and I went all the way. So after about 4 months of my hair thinning out, it started to get really bad and patchy, and I decided to just shave it all. Mother Nature took care of the rest, meaning that the rest just fell out not too long thereafter. I bought a buzzer to just shave my head so it didn't look so patchy, and I would just go with the bald look, and then eventually I didn't have to do that anymore either. So that was my experience with alopecia thus far. For any of you going through it, it is a very challenging thing to go through and to battle. Doctors had told me throughout every step of the process that, hey, this is normal, you're a happy, healthy kid, you just don't have any hair. And I went for however many countless blood tests. I went to every ologist in the tri-state area that I could find. And apparently none of them can pinpoint why this happens, what causes it. People say it's stress-related. I would have to agree with that, in that I was in a situation personally, just living situation, and with work, a few things that were just pretty stressful on top of the stress I maybe put myself under because my hair was falling out. If stress causes it, it's a pretty ironic condition for that reason. And it was tough, and it sucked sometimes. There were definitely some tough days in this journey. And I call it a journey because, you know, I'm here, I've made it out the other side, and now I actually sometimes wear glasses just to cover it up. But you know, I've thought about getting microblading where they can tattoo an eyebrow on. I don't really much care about the head. I just got to be careful of not getting it burned in direct sunlight. So be careful out there if any one of you has alopecia and you're getting out in the sun for the first time. Just be very careful. Use a lot of sunblock. Protect yourself. But, you know, there's good and bad with everything. I'm very lucky as a guy. This is a hairstyle. For any of you out there who might be maybe have longer hair, love your hair, or are on the female side of the spectrum, I feel for you. I'm with you. It sucks. It does. There's no two ways around that. And people will try to tell you all the positive things. Oh, well, things could always be worse. But they won't exactly know. It's hard, and until you get all the way through it, until you find a way to come to terms with it, it's gonna suck a little bit. But the great thing is that not only are you healthy, you're almost super healthy because your body is attacking bad stuff and good stuff like your hair. That's the way this condition, which is an autoimmune condition, it's the way it works. So I will say that, you know, I find myself lucky in the fact that I'm saving money on haircuts every month. I used to be, like I said, Italian. I would have hair everywhere, all over my back. I mean, I don't have to worry about shaving and clogging up my drains anymore. I save money on hair care. And if I'm ever cooking your food, you can never accuse me of getting hair in your food. Wasn't me. You know, you gotta have fun with it somehow. Anyway, the point of this is, like I said, I don't have a cure. I'm not sure how we can fix this, and no matter what any scientist is so far saying, they haven't come up with a cure that I'm aware of. But what is important is that the way that I was able to cope with going through this is having a really strong support system. So if you're watching this because you either are going through this, or you know someone who's going through it, or you know you're worried that your hair's starting to fall out and this could be the end result, if that is the case, I would offer a few pieces of advice that I wish someone told me. Number one would be find a support group. Figure out who your most supportive people in your life are and keep them close. Let them know how you're feeling, and don't be afraid to talk about it. You know, as much as you're hopeful that things will come back or get better, it's better just talk about how you're feeling in the moment and not wait for either they get better or get worse. The more that you accept things that are happening, the easier they'll eventually be. And I'm saying that from someone who had a really tough time himself, and wish that I was more open about it. Probably would have helped me go through it a little easier. Number two, look at your options. I mean, if you're comfortable with it, cool. If you're worried that you might be, you know, you might go fully bald, you know, there are options. There are wigs for guys and girls. There's microblading where they tattoo the actual eyebrows onto your face, and it looks pretty real. There's even like a scalp treatment where you can get kind of like hair-like tattoos done on your head. There are options. Figure out what is going to be best for you. And the last thing that I would have to say, which definitely consider, is write everything that you're going through down. I kept a journal. I actually have it here. It's like a journal, diary thing, whatever it is. And I just kind of wrote down how I was feeling. And the more I put words to it, the less it had control over me. You know, if you're going through something very tough like this, it's important to be self-aware and know how you're feeling and identify that and talk about it and get it out in the open. The most important thing is you're not alone. I'm, you know, one of many people. Apparently there's 7.2 billion of us that have gone through it. We're a force to be reckoned with. There's a lot of us, but there's community groups, there's support groups, there's a lot of people that want to help along the journey. There's Facebook groups, there's so much. And connect with me. Please leave me a comment, drop a message. I'm going to leave the comments open for, for both the good and the bad. I know that when you're out on the internet, things will happen. And that goes for life too. If this is you and you're going through this and you maybe trying to get used to the new you, you'll notice it more than other people. You'll be walking on the streets and people will maybe give you looks, or maybe they won't. Maybe you'll feel like you look scary to other people, or maybe you don't. What I've noticed is that no one really cares as much as you do. So as much as I thought people might be looking at me or staring at me, it was only because I felt that's what I would expect of people. And I would just project that onto everyone around me. And the truth was that until they asked, or they asked me questions like, well, how often do you shave your head to get it that close? They had no idea. So there's a silver lining to everything. I truly believe that, and just stay positive. This is a tough thing for a lot of people, but again, you're not alone, and I'm confident eventually they will find some way of reversing this. But I can also tell you that I've never been more okay with myself in my life, just going through this. So it takes time to get there, but if you're having a tough time, know that you'll make it on the other side. Just reach out, talk about it. You know what? Bald is a cool thing. And there's plenty of people out there they're going through it that rock the bald head, guys and girls. I'm gonna have to put some comments down below so you know who those people are. But feel free to comment on this message. I'd love to connect with you. There's going to be meetup groups that I'm going to be hosting here in New Jersey, in New York, Connecticut, Pennsylvania, tri-state area. So feel free to connect. I'd love to meet you. Let's hang out and talk about things. So that's my story. It's been an interesting process, and I'm here, and life is still good. I'm healthy. I'm thankful for everything around me, and being grateful for everything you have is another way to get through this. Day by day, you'll be all right. Again, my name is Steven. Please connect with me. I hope to talk to some of you soon, and let's get through this together. You're bald, and you're beautiful, or badass, either one.